Hi everybody, and welcome to another QuickBooks Power Hour. Today's topic is tech tips for small firms to improve client service year-round. I'm glad to have you all joining me today. Our agenda today, we're going to quickly talk about some things. Some of you have heard this many times before. We're going to talk about QuickBooks Power Hour, about the hosts and the guests, the CPE process, a few announcements and updates, and I'll try to go through that stuff pretty quickly because I know a lot of you have listened to that before. Then our topics for today is we're going to talk about these tech tips for small firms to help you improve your client service year-round, and then I'm going to share some selected results that relate to some of these tech tips from Intuit's average billing rate survey that we just completed, and a lot of you may have participated in that. And then I'm also going to tie in some related QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online tips for you as well today. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Michelle Long, owner of Long for Success, author of 5 different books. You can check them out on Amazon, including a QuickBooks practice set. Love to have you check those things out, join the LinkedIn group and all that. And we have Hector Garcia as well. He's my partner for QB Power Hour, but he is on vacation this week. I know I missed you guys a couple of weeks ago when I was on vacation, and now it's Hector's turn. He's down in sunny Aruba enjoying things today, but Hector's a great guy. He's a CPA as well and teaches a lot of QuickBooks classes down in the Miami area, and he's fabulous. So we hope he's enjoying his vacation today. Then we also have our guest today, Speaker Grady Slane with Citrix. Grady, you want to go ahead and say hi?
Hi, everyone. Great to be on the webinar. I'll be taking and helping out with questions throughout, so feel free to post things in the chat box, and I'll be happy to address them as they come.
Thank you, Grady. And Grady has shared some great content with you all today that Citrix has used, so we appreciate that, and they are one of our sponsors today. So a quick overview about QuickBooks Power Hour. Normally it's a webinar series that's every 2 weeks. However, we got a lot of special Power Hours coming up over the next 6 weeks. We will be having weekly webinars. Oops, and I'm sorry, I realized we forgot to update this date here. The next webinar will be Thursday, next week, August 27th. We typically cover tips and tricks and advanced insights for QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, but we also bring you special guests like we have Grady and Citrix today, and talk about some third-party apps, practice management, and things like that. The primary sponsors are myself and Hector. Our businesses are the primary sponsors, but we do have some other vetted sponsors that we bring in occasionally, such as Citrix and others. We are not officially sponsored or associated with Intuit, although we do have a close relationship with them and often bring them on as a guest speaker as well. Today's sponsor is Citrix. They have some really great tools for accountants and bookkeepers, including ShareFile, Write Signature, and ShareConnect. We'll mention those a little bit later, and then there's a special webinar going over some of that next week. Plus, they have GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting, and GoToTraining. I use GoToWebinar for these QB Power Hours. I use GoToMeeting when I'm meeting with my clients and need to help them with different things. So they've got great tools that help us with our practice. Now, for the CPE process, you need to stay on for the live webinar, not watching this on a recording. You need to be logged in for at least 50 minutes. During the webinar today, I'm going to give you a CPE keyword or a password, and you're going to write that down. Then later in the webinar, I'll give you a poll question where you'll answer the poll question with that CPE keyword, and then allow 3 weeks to get your CPE certificate emailed to you. Now, I mentioned the upcoming Power Hours that we have coming up. Mark your calendar, because we're going to be doing it weekly for the next 6 weeks. There's so much information we want to bring you that we decided we need to get some special webinars in here. So next week, we're going to have a special webinar on Citrix for Accounting. On September 3rd, we're going to have Ron Baker, the Value Pricing Guru. And then here's a list of all of them. Of what's upcoming over the next 6 weeks. So I put this slide in there. You guys can take a look at that in the handouts. So I'm not going to sit here and read through all those. Some other upcoming events, QuickBooks Connect, I want to talk a little bit more about in just a minute, but that's going to be in San Jose, November 2nd through the 4th. SleaterCon is in Las Vegas again this year. Hector and I are going to be doing a special QB Power Hour live from Vegas. We'd love to have you join us for that. And then also the QBO, or QuickBooks Online Certification Prep Training, is coming to various cities across the U.S. and various states. If you're on the East Coast in Bethesda, Philadelphia or Boston, I will be there in a couple of weeks, September 1st through the 3rd. You can find all the dates and register at intuitacademy.com. Love to see you at some of those events, and if you're there, come up and say hi. And I'd really like to see you all at QuickBooks Connect. The QuickBooks Connect conference, again, is going to be in San Jose, California, and the early bird pricing ends tomorrow on August 21st. The price is not going to ever go any lower than this, so don't wait and think there's going to be some last-minute sales or specials or anything like that. If you're interested in going, you need to register now to get the best price. Also, they are having record numbers of people registering, so it's on pace to be twice the size as it was last year, and last year was really big. We had over 3,500 attendees joining me and everybody else at QuickBooks Connect, so Intuit may have to cap the ticket sales this year due to some space limits. So you don't want to be left out. There's the link where you can register, QuickBooksConnect.com. And Hector and I wanted to share a few comments from last year's QuickBooks Connect. I personally, and Hector agrees, I thought it was the most amazing conference. It's really the one that you should not miss. Now, I go to many of these conferences, including SleaderCon and the Scaling New Heights Conference. Next week I'll be at the Midwest Accounting Show in Chicago. This QuickBooks Connect is so different and so much better than all of these other ones. So if you could only go to one, this is the one you don't want to miss. There were 3,500 plus attendees, which included accounting professionals like ourselves, plus developers who create these third-party apps that we work with, and small business owners. There was incredible main stage motivational speakers like Magic Johnson, Martha Stewart, Bill Rancic, Ariana Huffington. I mean, they really brought some amazing speakers in. If you go to YouTube and search for QuickBooks Connect, you'll find some of these videos and you'll be able to watch some of the ones from last year. But in addition to the main stage speakers that they have, there's also these wonderful breakout sessions from incredible speakers like Ron Baker talking about value pricing. There's details on QuickBooks, but there's also details on social media and managing your business and things like that. So you can actually go to any sessions. Just because you're an accountant doesn't mean you can't go to the small business sessions that they have as well. And there's all these developers, and you really can learn a lot about the QuickBooks ecosystem and new technologies that are available. There's now over 300 or 400 apps out there that integrate, and so you really get an opportunity to learn about what's new and find out about the new technology that can help you or your clients. Plus, there was some amazing entertainment. Talk about accountants gone wild. We had a train concert, and Intuit provided free drinks, so accountants were having a good time, and it was a lot of fun. As far as accountants go wild anyway, it was pretty mild compared to other concerts, I'm sure. Plus, then they have all these unexpected delights, things that you weren't expecting, like book signings and more. I got the privilege of getting an autographed book from Bill Rancic. Remember him? He won The Apprentice, The First Apprentice, and Ariana Huffington. So it was just really great. If you guys can attend at all, I would love to see you guys attend that with me. So now let's get into our agenda for today. We're going to be talking about how the technology landscape is evolving and how it's impacting us as accounting professionals, how the client service expectations are changing, and how this affects small accounting firms. Also, how the technology advances are empowering firms to serve our customers better and more efficiently than ever before. Then I've also pulled in some related survey results and some QuickBooks tips that are going to help you as well. So first of all, let's talk about how technology is changing our client expectations. Mobile is truly defining how we communicate electronically now. Did you know, some of these statistics were impressive to me. I didn't know some of these. Again, this is provided by Grady from Citrix. But U.S. adults spend more internet time on their smartphone than their PC. I thought, really? But then I thought about it. Yeah, you see people with their smartphone everywhere they go. They don't carry their PC everywhere they go. And 66%, almost 2/3 of all the emails are opened on a mobile device now. That's amazing. And there's no off button. Consumers are constantly connected, so our clients are always connected on their mobile devices, and they expect us to be connected as well. And then social media is like a reign of terror. Consumers now rely on social media for advice about everything. Think about it. They look to reviews and comments and things like that, and they're vocal when they get bad service. Social media can truly make or break a business. So it's really amazing how important that has become nowadays. And this is presenting challenges that are facing small firms today, because many of these small firms have less money for new tech. They can't afford, all of this stuff, and shifting to mobile is kind of hard, even for some bigger firms. Small firms have fewer staff to share the load. How many of you are sole practitioners? Probably a good number of us, so it's all you, right? You may not have help with this, or you may hire someone to help you with some of that. But us as small firms, we have more to gain, but we also have more to lose from social media. If you get a bad review, it can really be a condemnation to death for a small business. Think about some of these that you've seen where they say one thing wrong or they do one thing wrong and they really get into it, and they have a hard time recovering from that. I don't know if any of you ever heard of that Amy's Baking Company restaurant. Where was it? I think in Arizona. That restaurant has now gone out of business. They made some missteps when it came to social media, and it hurt them bad. So I have a keyword or a poll question here for you. I want to get your all's input. How many times in the past month have you looked online or on a social review site like Yelp or Facebook or Angie's List for a local business review? Perhaps you needed to get your car fixed, or you wanted to go get your hair done or your nails done. How many times have you looked for a review? Maybe it's a restaurant. How many times do you go and look for a review site like Yelp or Facebook or Angie's List? Answer this poll question for me, and then I'll share the results with you to kind of see where we're at. While you're doing that, somebody asked about the handout. I posted that link in the chat window. Let's see if I can post that again for you here. No, I don't have that available. I'll post it again in just a minute. Skyline Cloud Services is not part of Citrix. Grady answered that. Thank you. No, I don't have a special QuickBooks Connect promo code, but tomorrow is the last day to get that discount, the early bird pricing. So I encourage you to do that. Okay, last call. Anybody that wants to answer this poll question here? How often do you look online for a review site for local business reviews? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share these results with you. 30% of you do this once or twice over the past month. Another 20% do it about once a week. 22% of you don't do it at all, so that kind of surprises me. I know I always do, especially if I'm looking for something new. So think about this. We had 38% once or twice, 20%, so nearly 60%, almost 60% are looking at those social review sites and looking at that when you're evaluating a local business or a restaurant or things like that. That's what our clients are doing as well. Have you ever checked yourself or your reviews on Yelp or some of these other sites? What about the ProAdvisor profile? Do you get reviews out there? Think about your clients are looking at that, so you need to be monitoring that and looking at that as well, because it can truly impact your business. You need to know what people are saying about you. Now, let's talk about how service has changed. 10 years ago, as accounting professionals, all we really needed to do was do great work and have great service, and we would have happy clients and referrals. Things were a lot easier. Clients didn't expect us to be connected 24/7 and things like that, but now in 2015, not only do we have to do great work, but they expect that your firm is connected. They expect that you are online, that you're doing these things, that you're easily accessible. They expect you to be connecting with them on mobile devices. Then also keep in mind that individuals, some of your clients can reach thousands of listeners. They go post something on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Yelp, and they're going to reach lots of people. So in the past, if they had a bad comment, they might tell their friends and family, and that was bad, but now it's amplified, and it's so much bigger, and it can be so much worse. And there's a social media paper trail. So you have to be very aware of how this has changed, and the fact that the rules for providing great customer service have changed. We can't keep doing what we've been doing in the past. So, and I love this. Again, this is provided from Grady at Citrix, but it's this hierarchy of needs for accounting technology. Some firms, technology, you've got to come before others. You've got to have the basic necessities at the bottom of your pyramid, and then you move up over time with all of these other technology things that help you to really change the game and be a profitable firm and a firm of the future. You know, Intuit has been talking a lot about that firm of the future. So all of our accounting firms start with these basic necessities, but then a few firms are able to move up this pyramid over time and really reach growth and sustainability. And that's some of the stuff that we want to help you learn, how you can move up this pyramid. And we're going to talk about some things that can help you with that today. So first of all, let's talk about some of the technological necessities. First of all, we have the hardware. You've got to have, of course, computers and printers and a phone, and you've got to have your accounting and tax safe software, and you have to have some safeguards in place. These are the basic necessities. These are table stakes. This is what you need just to get in the game to have an accounting firm. So having these things don't make you or create any competitive advantage or differentiation for you. This is all, everybody has the basics here, or you should have. So let's talk a little bit more about those in just a minute, but that's the base of your pyramid, that you have to have all of that information. Then you move up into the communication, and this is where you're really driving your professionalism. You have to be able to deliver the right information to your clients in the right format and the right time. Our clients now expect to have things available 24/7. Let's say you've got a client that's applying for a home mortgage and they need their W-2 from last year. They don't want to have to email you to get that or get a copy of that, or maybe they need their prior year tax return. They want to be able to get the data when they want it, easily and accessible. So we've got to think about some of these things and be able to provide that to our clients. Also, we need to be able to provide good support, timely and proactive support to our clients. We have to be able to assist them at a moment's notice. When they call or reach out to us, they want to reply fairly quickly. So we really have to transition from being reactive, in other words, only talking to the client when there's a problem or they need help or things like that, and we need to be proactive. We need to be providing them with some QuickBooks tips, with some things that are going to help them in their business and things like that. So we really need to be working on some of that. And then to get into that growth and sustainability phase where we truly can reach success, we have to minimize our manual processes and what the client is required to do. We really have to minimize data entry. People aren't doing data entry anymore, and I've got some stats on this I'm going to share with you in just a little while, but we've got to minimize those manual processes so we can maximize our efficiency and our billable hours, but along with that, we need to get away from billing hourly. As we get faster and more efficient, we implement these technologies that allow us to do things a lot quicker. We can't bill hourly anymore, and I've got a slide on that. We're going to talk more about that a little bit later and on the Ron Baker webinar on September 3rd. And we also want to maximize our employee and our partner satisfaction. It's important that people are enjoying their work and that they can work where they need to, not chained to an office or chained to a desk anymore, but we have that mobility and we have that flexibility as well. So all of this is some of the game changers that we as small firms need to strive for. So let me ask you guys now, let me go ahead and do another poll question here. I want to know which of these is the top challenge for your firm. Which one of these are you having a hard time with? And we had a great question here. How are other CPAs dealing with clients that want to text us rather than email? Are we losing the professional aspect? In my opinion, you've got to meet the client where they want to be. If texting is what they want to do, then you can, text them back. If you prefer email, go ahead and tell them. You can reply to their text, say, this is going to be too much for a text. I'll send you an email. So that's kind of up to you, but I don't think texting now is so commonplace that I don't think it has to be unprofessional to be texting. What bothers me is the grammar, all the shortcuts and things like that. So I try, whether I'm texting or email, I try to have good grammar and punctuation, and I don't abbreviate too awful much because I think that is less professional, but maybe that's just me. Blaine said we need a none of the above. Well, good. That means you don't have these challenges, so I think that's great. Somebody else says they have 2 clients that text me their weekly payroll. It works out because the client is satisfied. That's super. Thank you for sharing that. What about those clients texting at all hours of the night? You don't have to reply at all hours of the night. Turn your phone off. I use the privacy mode or the go to sleep mode. I forget what it's called on my iPhone, where unless it's from somebody that's an important person, I don't get those texts or emails overnight. I turn it off. So those are some good things to think about. Somebody says, I use texting with several clients, and then I screenshot and send an email to their corporate file. That's a good idea. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we've got some great ideas people are sharing here. Let me go ahead and close this poll and share this with you all. What are your top challenges for your firm? 37% of you said providing superior support and consulting for clients. Well, that's great because I've got some great ideas and tips on providing that support and consulting for your clients today and next week when we talk about some of the accounting tools from Citrix. Some of you have 26% implementing appropriate technology safeguards. We've got some tips that will help in that area as well. Keeping up with clients' evolving communication preferences. That is kind of challenging, and that's where if we have one central location where we can store all of our documents and client notes and communications, that helps tremendously. Okay, thank you guys for sharing those poll results. That was very insightful. Okay, let's talk more in depth about some of the firm safeguards, because we know we've got the hardware that we need to do our jobs. We've got our accounting and tax software to do our jobs. We also need to have some safeguards in place. First of all, we need to have encryption. We need to encrypt the data at rest and in transit. What does that mean? It means your hard drive on your computer should be encrypted. If you're using an online storage thing such as ShareFile, it should be encrypted. When you're emailing, it should be encrypted. A lot of us, I think, don't realize this anymore. A lot of you, if you do taxes, you know you have to put a password on the PDF, or you need to use encryption, things like that. But some of us that maybe aren't doing taxes may forget about some of that. So it's really important, and it's critical when you have personal identifiable information. If you've got Social Security numbers, credit card numbers, that's a requirement. It's very important that we safeguard those things and that we're encrypting the data. Also, the backups. I think some people in certain parts of the country are better about backing up their computers and their hard drives and things like that, not only because the hard drive can crash and fail on us, but there's also other external factors like hurricanes, let's say in Florida, or earthquakes in California. I think some people are better about having a backup and a contingency plan in place in the case of a disaster. I think some of us get more complacent when it comes to this. Perhaps you live in the Midwest, or somewhere where you don't have hurricanes or earthquakes, but you still have the risk from fire, flood, tornadoes, all these other risks. And there's lots of statistics that prove those firms and small businesses that have a disaster recovery plan in place are able to recover from that disaster, whereas firms that don't have this in place, often those firms or small businesses go out of business. Like when Hurricane Sandy hit, those businesses that had a disaster recovery plan and backups and all that in place, they were able to survive and recuperate. If you're backing up your data to the cloud, if you're backing up and using something like ShareFile, and you have a disaster and you lose your servers or your hard drive or whatever, all you have to do is go get another computer and log in from somewhere else, and you've got your data. So that's really critical, especially because we're taking care of our clients' data. It's even more important than just our own. We have a duty to protect their data. So you really need to implement some plans that's going to ensure the safety of your data and continuing your operations. Here's something that a lot of us as sole proprietors need to think about. What if you get sick? What if there's a family emergency? What if, something happens and you're not able to work for a period of time? Do you have a backup person? If you're a sole proprietor, a lot of times people don't even think about that. What happens if I can't meet my client's needs? This really was driven home to me, about 8 years ago when my little sister died. I was devastated. I didn't even want to think about trying to serve my clients. So luckily, I had networked with other accountants and pro advisors where I could call on them and say, can you do this for me? Can you take this over? I need this done, that done. Certain things that couldn't be delayed, like payroll. Can you take care of this for me for the next week or so? So not just safeguarding all your data, but also continuing the operations if something happens to you and you're not able to. We've got to think about some of those things. We also then need to be able to communicate effectively with our clients. And I see Susan asked, what is ShareFile? We're going to talk about that a little bit more later, Susan, and next week you're going to get a demo and you're going to see a lot more about that. Okay, so communicating effectively, effective communication tools, it's going to facilitate how well we do our business, how well we work with our clients. When we're exchanging files and emails using some service that conveys security and brand identity. In other words, are you just normal emailing things to your client? Is that secure? If you need to send a client a file or documents, is that secure? Those are some things that we need to think about. And Dropbox isn't secure. And so we want to think about, are we portraying a level of professionalism if you're using some of those? Especially if you've got sensitive financial information, you can't use those things. Whereas ShareFile is a secure client portal, and again, you'll learn more about that next week. We're going to give you a demo and everything, but it meets the needs for that. Plus, whatever tools you're using needs to be easy for your staff and your clients. Easy to access, easy to use, easy to get the information that they need 24/7. They need to be able to get access to this information when they need to. Perhaps your client's applying for a mortgage at 1 in the morning and they need last year's tax return. Do you want them saying, oh, my accountant's not available, I can't get it? Or would you rather have a self-service option like ShareFile where they've got a folder that they have permission to download things from whenever they need it? Not only does it serve your client well to give them this access, it's going to save you time because then they don't email you and ask you to send them a copy of it and things like that. So these are some things to think about. And then also, we want to have the data collected together. We need tools that our clients are using. We need things like e-signature, where let's say you need the client to sign a form, perhaps the form to e-file their taxes. You can have them use Right Signature. They can sign it on their phone. This saves the client time. They don't have to print it out. They don't have to sign it, scan it, send it back to you. You're making things a lot easier for the client. Right Signature is something, again, that Citrix offers, and we'll talk more about that in depth next week. But these are some things that you need to think about and tools that are available to help you to do some of this stuff. Somebody says, how do you help clients remember they have anytime access when they normally only need access once a year? That's a great question, Shannon. So one of the things that you might think about is sending your clients updates, maybe on a monthly or quarterly basis. We need to be in contact with our clients all year long, not just at year end when we're doing their taxes. So send out an email with an update, maybe on some new tax laws, maybe with some changes, maybe a couple of QuickBooks tips, and reminding them you've got access to the data in your ShareFile folder or whatever document management you're using. I use ShareFile. I've used it for many years. And so I really love it. But that's a good question. And Rebecca says she sends monthly newsletters using Constant Contact. That's right. There's great resources for emailing. So let's talk about communicating with your clients. Let me see, how do you communicate with your client? What's the most common way you can communicate with your client now? Via email, a client portal like ShareFile, over the phone, over fax, or a combination of that. I don't even use a fax anymore. I remember way back when my fax broke, and I was like, should I go buy a new one? Nah, I'm just going to scan and email things now. you don't have to actually use a fax machine anymore. That's very outdated. So how are you communicating with your clients? Over the phone, I don't like to answer the phone because that interrupts what I'm doing. I finally learned just because the phone's ringing does not mean you have to answer it. So I like to communicate more via email than the phone. And so I tell my clients that, I'm like, if you need to reach me, please send an email. Usually I'm going to get that faster than the phone messages. So these are some things to kind of think about. It's how do you want to communicate with your clients? And Stephanie said that the poll question should have communicate via text. I would go ahead and include that, put that under a combination, I guess. But you're right. Tom says fax, tell that to the IRS who refuses to use emails. You're right, Tom. If you're working with the IRS, you need to fax things, but there's now there's e-fax. There's ways that you can fax things without having a physical fax machine. Carmel says, I'm the same as Michelle. I don't like to answer the phone, especially when I'm working. That's right, because it interrupts your workflow. So I like to wait and then do those. Somebody else's phone calls take too much time. Clients get off topic. Yes, they do, don't they? Yes, they do. And somebody says the CRA in Canada doesn't accept email either, only fax or snail mail. And somebody says Dropbox. Dropbox is not secure. And Grady could share some more information on that when he's talking about ShareFile, that the way Dropbox, everybody's data is stored like on the same servers, and it's not really as secure as we need it to be as accounting professionals. So let me go ahead and close this and share this with you. And this is an interesting result. We got a pretty good split here. 52% of you are primarily using email, and 43% are using a combination. Only 1% are using a client portal. 4% over the phone, and nobody said over fax with our clients. Now, you may be doing fax with the IRS or the CRA. The CRA is in Canada, but that was interesting. Thank you guys for doing that. Okay, here is our CPE poll question for today, Roatan. So write this down. This isn't the poll question. This is a CPE keyword. Write this down. You'll get the poll question later. Roatan. I went on a cruise. I got to go to Cozumel, Belize, and Roatan. Roatan had the most amazing snorkeling I've ever seen. Their reefs were beautiful. It was literally like swimming in an aquarium. I absolutely loved it. And the reefs were higher up, so it was easier to see. They were very close to the surface of the water. So Roatan, it was fabulous. Roatan, write that down. You'll get a CPE poll question later. Roatan, I'd love to go back. It was very nice. All right, Roatan, you got that? Good. Okay, now let's talk about how do we provide some of this next level of support. Support helps us to build our client loyalty. You don't want to be one of many. You want to be their trusted advisor. And this is one of the things that really bugs me. I see clients and small businesses posting on the Intuit Community Forum or other online groups asking questions. My accountant sent me this. What am I supposed to do with it? My accountant told me to make this entry. How do I do that? Why are they not talking to their accountant? Are you their trusted advisor if they don't ask you questions? We need to be able to provide support as well as responsive support. We need to be able to support them in their environment when they need that help. That's where logging in and helping a client with a QuickBooks file is fabulous. A lot of times they may only need 15 minutes of help. That's why I never go on site anymore. I log in remotely using GoToMeeting if it's a desktop client, or if it's QuickBooks Online, I'm able to log in and see what I need so that I can help them with that in a timely manner. And then proactive support is even better. We need to address some of these things before it's an issue, and that helps to build some loyalty. Proactively, in other words, especially if they're using QuickBooks Online, log in on a monthly or a quarterly basis. Do a quick review. See how things look. Look in the Ask Michelle or the Ask My Accountant account and see if there's several things that they didn't know what to do with. Is it time to help him with that? Regularly check in on them without them having to ask us for help. Sometimes they're hesitant to ask us for help, but if we log in on a regular basis, and we notice maybe undeposited funds is growing, maybe some other things look funny, send them a quick email and say, it looks like, you know, there's some things going on. Can we set up a meeting so I can help you? And they will really appreciate that, and that's helping helping make you that trusted advisor and cement that client loyalty. So these are all some things that we really need to be able to do. And then finally, we have to be accessible even when we're away. And this is where the cloud is amazing. You can be on vacation. You can be, you know, in Roatan or Hector's in Aruba. You can still access the internet. You can still log in remotely. You can still help your clients wherever you may be, whether you're at home or you're out of town. We've got all these tools to work anywhere so that you can make time for yourself and your family. I routinely will take my computer with me. I can work from a hotel room. I've done webinars from hotel rooms wherever I happen to be traveling. So it's really now that you have to be able to do this now. We also need to support your staff. We need to be able to adopt tools that are going to get great employees and help them be productive even when they're not in the office. Let's say you have a snow day, you got a snowstorm, maybe you've got floods, maybe they have a sick child and they can't come into work that day. Let them be able to work from home. If you've got the tools, they can access whatever they need from wherever they are to be able to do that. That helps us to reach sustainability. It helps us to minimize all of our manual processes that we might have, focus on us and our employees' time, what's going to drive our clients' perceived value. These are some things that I hope you will think about as a firm for moving up this pyramid from the basic necessities to some of these game changers so you can be a firm of the future, so that you can continue to be successful. Now, this is where I've mentioned Citrix and ShareFile and Right Signature and ShareConnect several times. They've got great tools for accounting professionals. It looks like that got cut off right there. I apologize. But Citrix for accounting professionals. ShareFile is a client portal and encrypted email solution. It allows you to save documents in there, share the documents with your clients. Your client can upload things. Your client can download things. It's secure, and they have an encrypted email solution as well. Right Signature allows the client to sign from their phone, from any device. And then ShareConnect allows you to access the client's your desktop or the client's desktop for QuickBooks files from anywhere. So ShareConnect gives you that remote access to help them in a timely manner when they need it. We will have a special webinar next week on Thursday, same time, same place, next week, August 27th. We're going to get you some demos from Citrix. They're going to show you and demo this, show you how it works, because we need a whole hour for that. So Grady and some Citrix people will be available to answer your questions. I saw some questions going through about pricing and things like that, and we do have a special offer for you with 50% discount. But make a note of next Thursday, August 27th, to join us for that special webinar. And then also I've got a promo code I'm going to give you here in just a minute. But let me do one more poll question here. ShareConnect, is that the same as LogMe In? Yes, Susan, it's similar. It's a remote access file. Janice says, using ShareFile, love it. Yay, me too. Want more info on ShareConnect? Great, Janice. Join us next week. What's the difference between GoToMyPC and GoToMeeting? Different companies. Both would be a remote access, but they are different companies. Citrix is a huge company. They have over 100 million customers using their various products. They've been around, I think, over 25 years. So it's a good, reliable, dependable company with proven technology that works and provides the level of security that accounting professionals need. So it's a true secure client portal for us. Somebody says QuickBooks Desktop has a remote access link now. Has anyone used it? Lisa, actually QuickBooks Desktop used to have that. It's no longer in there. It was remote access through WebEx. It only allowed you to access QuickBooks, and the client had to be there to click to give you permission to do it. So those are a couple things to think about. Okay, so which of the following topics do you want to focus on, your firm to focus on the most? Answer this poll question for me quickly. and then we're going to move on. So which of these topics do you want your firm to focus on? You need to be taking the reins of your firm and think about some of these. So I'm going to go ahead and close and share. 38% want to help how you're supporting clients. That's fabulous, and that's where Citrix has some of those tools that are going to help you support your clients more efficiently and securely. Improve flexibility with working outside the office, improving my firm's technology safeguards. Fabulous. All of you then need to join us next week because we're going to help you with all of these different things. Very good. Okay, so we do have a special discount for you for QuickBooks Power Hour attendees. They're going to give you 50% off. So if you want to write down fletcher.martin@citrix.com, you can contact them and they will help you with some of that. Or again, join us next week where we're going to give you some demos and go in depth and show you these products and how they're going to help you in your practice. I want to make you aware of them today. We're going to do a deep dive into that next week, so you don't want to miss that one. Okay? So now I want to share with you some stats and some survey results from the Intuit Average Billing Rate Survey, as well as some other statistics that really illustrate the impact all of these tech changes are making on our industry, the accounting industry, and how it's changing. First of all, let's look at QuickBooks Online. It has rapid growth, and that is opportunities for us. It's already hit 1 million users. It's going to grow to 2 million over the next 3 years. They're adding over 100,000 QBO subscriptions per quarter. This is what's very impressive. For 8 consecutive quarters, that means 2 years, QBO subscribers have been growing rapidly. The latest quarter, QBO grew 55%. And I don't have it on here, but QB desktop users are declining by double digits. 10 to 15% per quarter. Desktop users is declining. QBO users is growing rapidly. And for the past year, 4 consecutive quarters, more customers have chose QuickBooks Online over QuickBooks Desktop. Using QuickBooks Online allows us to do a lot of these things that we want, working with our clients, giving them the service and the support that they need, access to the data that they need. QuickBooks Online being in the cloud, it's easy for us to share that data with the client and provide some of the great support and things like that that we need, the great service that we need for our clients. So if you haven't if you're not certified in QuickBooks Online yet, what are you waiting for? You're missing out. This is a great opportunity for you to be growing your practice and getting new clients. Now let's talk about some other technology things. The downloaded transactions. This is changing how we work. Remember earlier in Grady's pyramid, we talked about minimizing manual data entry. Now we still have about 30%, 29.9% of you that are entering transactions manually. What are you waiting for? Nobody's doing things manually anymore. There's no need. The data is already there for you to download directly into QuickBooks, whether it's desktop or online. And here's a power hour that Hector and I did several months ago on the downloaded transactions and bank feeds. You can watch that where we cover that. But you either are downloading that data. If for some reason your bank does not download, then there's third-party tools that allow you to import these transactions into QuickBooks so that you can more efficiently review them and add or match them into the QuickBooks file. There's no need to enter data manually anymore. That's a thing of the past. Are you using green ledger sheets anymore? I hope not. That's a thing of the past. Everybody uses Excel now. The green ledger pads are gone. I remember those, but they're gone now. So entering data manually should be gone. Now, for us as accounting professional, again, these are results from the Intuit Average Billing Rate Survey, where we surveyed thousands of accountants and bookkeepers. These are the results. How many of you are emailing invoices to your clients? 92% of you are emailing invoices to your clients now. I think that's fabulous. That's definitely what we should be doing, is emailing that to the client. And then in QuickBooks Online, you've even got a record of when that was emailed, and you can see when the client viewed it. So you've got proof. You know, this is where it gets a little awkward. If your client says, well, I didn't get it, you can say, yes, you did. You got it on July 19th at 10:05 p.m. You can actually see when they viewed it because they can click a link to view the invoice, and it records not only when it was sent and emailed, but when it was viewed by your client. So I think that's huge. Now, you don't have that detailed information with QuickBooks Desktop, but it is available with QuickBooks Online. Now let's talk about accepting online payments or credit cards. So in the blue, do you accept credit cards? We got about 55% that are accepting credit cards and 57% that are allowing clients to pay online. You need to be doing that. This 43%, why are you not doing that yet? Why are you not letting your clients pay online? I don't want to go to the bank anymore. I don't want to get a check in the mail. My client doesn't want to print and mail a check anymore either. People aren't doing that anymore. So we really need to change, and we need to be able to accept these online payments or credit cards. It's a benefit for our clients, and it's a benefit for us. So I love this win-win. When it's a win for the client and a win for us, we need to be doing that. So with QuickBooks Payments in QuickBooks Online, it's called QuickBooks Payments. Or if you're using QuickBooks Desktop, there's the Intuit Payment Network. This allows your client to click a link and pay online. Now, I'm a cheapskate. I can take credit cards when I need to, but I don't want to because of the fees involved. So most of the time, when I email an invoice to my client, I'm using QuickBooks Online, so I use QuickBooks Payments, I uncheck the box so that they don't pay with a credit card, that they pay with their bank account, because then it's only 50 cents per transaction. Whether they pay $50, $500, or $5,000, it's 50 cents per transaction. Love it. And then it's automatically posted into QuickBooks for me. The payment, the fees, they're posted. It's applied to that invoice. It's streamlining the process so you don't have to enter the data manually. So I absolutely love that. If you're not using QuickBooks Payments, with QBO or Intuit Payment Network, I encourage you to check those things out. Google it. You'll find lots of information about that. Then taking it a step further to streamline our processes for us and or our clients, we should be setting up recurring charges. So how many accounting professionals are doing this for monthly and payroll clients? 51% are setting up recurrent charges. What does this mean? 40% of you aren't doing this yet. You ought to be doing this. So for any monthly clients or payroll clients, why would you invoice them and then wait to get paid when you can set up a recurring charge to automatically charge their credit card every month? Now, obviously, you're going to need the client to sign an authorization and approval form that gives you, authorization to do that. But then you set up a sales receipt and you make it recurring, and you can automatically charge their credit card. Now, I know the question that comes up, what about their bank? Can I automatically debit their bank? Not at this time. Intuit is not allowing us to do that at this time. I wish we could. I'm not sure why we can't, but it's not allowing them to save that bank account information. Hopefully in the future, we'll have that. You guys can help request that by clicking the gear and send feedback in QuickBooks Online. You can set up recurring charges in QuickBooks Desktop as well. You can automatically charge their credit card in QuickBooks Desktop as well. So for monthly clients or payroll clients where it's a set fee, we should be doing this. You also can help your clients do this. If they've got, let's say, a daycare center where they have weekly fees or weekly tuition, maybe it's a fitness center where they have monthly membership dues, set things up as recurring charges. Maybe it's rent that they need to get every month. That way you don't have to deal with accounts receivable. You don't have to chase people down for not paying their bills or paying their invoices or paying their rent or whatever. It's automatically going to happen. So it saves us time, and if you're doing this for your clients, it's going to save them time, and they're going to love you for it. So those are some things that we need to be thinking about as well. Now, all of these tools, downloading transactions, setting up recurring charges, invoicing clients online and things like that, all of these things, especially when it comes to downloading transactions, are improving our efficiency. We get more work done faster than ever before. especially if you're using some of the accounting tools like the reclassified transactions to help you clean up the client's file and the mistakes. We can do it so much faster now than in the past. Things that used to take 10 hours, you can get it done in 2 hours. Should you make less money? No. How many of you want to make less money because you've gone to webinars like this, you've learned about QuickBooks, you've learned about tools, you've learned about different things, you know, from share file, write signature, you're using things that make you more efficient. Should you make less money? The answer is no. So even though we still have 66% of the people who are doing hourly billing, look how many are now moving towards a fixed fee or moving towards value pricing. Hourly billing used to be almost 100%. I mean, and we as accountants and bookkeepers, we are like the only ones in the world practically that still do things hourly, except maybe attorneys. But even then, a lot of times they're moving to value pricing. If you get a speeding ticket, it's like $250, $350. It's not based on their time. It takes them a few minutes to take care of it. It's value priced. So we need to be moving away from hourly billing, moving towards value pricing. That's why I want you to join us on the September 3rd QB Power Hour, where we're going to have Ron Baker. He is impressive with what he knows about value pricing. Also, if you go to intuitacademy.com, there's webinars that Ron Baker has done for Intuit Academy. Those recordings are out there, so you can go watch. I think there's 4 of them, and they're about an hour and a half a piece. It's a great resource, intuitacademy.com. Look for the Ron Baker webinars, and that's going to help you. And then join us September 3rd. You'll be able to ask questions. We're going to have Ron Baker on the QB Power Hour then. Now, I probably won't be able to join live. I'll be presenting in Boston, but Hector will be here, and I'd love to have you guys join him for that. So again, mark your calendars for some of the next 6 weeks. Special webinar next week with Citrix, where we're going to talk about share file, write signature, and share connect. September 3rd, we've got Ron Baker and Chris Repetto from Intuit is going to join us with the latest on QuickBooks Connect. Remember, the deadline for that early bird discount is tomorrow, August 21st. So I encourage you to join us for that. Here's the other upcoming webinars that we have, so you can take a look at that in the handouts. And I'm going to go ahead and provide the CPE poll question for you, but then I'm going to answer some questions that you've had coming through fast and furiously so that I can answer some of your questions for you here. So let's see what we have here. And Grady, feel free if you want to answer some stuff. We'd love to have you join us and answer some questions as well. But do the poll question right now for me. Somebody's wondering about the PDFs. Let's see if I can get the link and post that for you here in just a second. Let me see if I can get that link. And that's not copying. I'm not able to get that link. I'll post that for you in just a minute. What happens if the card gets declined? Lisa, oh, so if you're talking about your recurring charges and the card gets declined, then you're going to need to contact the client. Perhaps their credit card expired or things like that. That's one of the things, Lisa, where some people will use a custom field and they'll put those expiration dates in there so you can kind of monitor that. Thank you, Rebecca. She shared that link for me. For some reason, it wasn't copying and pasting for me. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Free QuickBooks training courses. Go to intuitacademy.com. Somebody wants to know what's the difference between value pricing and a fixed fee. Gina, a fixed fee is where you just say, you know, this is going to be $500 per month. So if you've been doing things for the clients and it's $500 a month, and now you're going to switch to QuickBooks Online, you're going to start downloading transaction, you're going to implement share file and some different things, and you're saving time, but you still charge the client $500 per month, so that's kind of a fixed fee. A value pricing is where you're truly looking at the value that you're providing to the client. For example, creating a period copy in QuickBooks Desktop doesn't take that long most of the time. If there's no data problems and things like that, creating a period copy, if they have an audit, can only take a few minutes, you know, 10, 15 minutes, no more than a half an hour. So value price that. What's that worth to the client to get the period copy just for the period that's under audit? $300, $400? So you're charging based on the value to the client as opposed to just setting a fixed fee. A fixed fee is where you estimate what your costs are and how much time you have, and then you create a fixed fee. But with value pricing, you don't care, your client doesn't care how long something took for you to do. They want the results. They want the tax return done, and many tax professionals are charging based on the form or their value pricing. They're not charging hourly anymore. So we need to move towards the value that we're providing to that client. That's where moving up that pyramid, where you're providing more support for the client on a proactive basis, where you're available, allowing them self-service to download their documents that they might need. Those things are adding additional value for your clients. We need to be charging on a value pricing model, not hourly. And again, you can learn a lot more from the Ron Baker webinars and joining us on the September 3rd value pricing webinar. Okay, let me check on that poll question, see how you guys have done. 88% voted. If anybody else needs CPE credit, please answer the poll question. Last call on the poll question, okay? So let's see a couple of other things. All right, let's go ahead and click to save that. What has been your experience with HubDocs? HubDocs is also an amazing tool. We've got a webinar, a QB Power Hour webinar with HubDocs about a month or two ago. If you want to look in the archives, you can learn more about that. Barbara says, I thought IPN was not available on desktop 2015 and later. Barbara, I think, but I'm not positive, I think they fixed that, and you can still use IPN, even though it may not be fully integrated with QuickBooks Desktop. You can still use Intuit Payment Network. And somebody, Sarah says, we avoid credit cards because I have awesome clients and why pay the fees? Plus with prepaying flat fees, no need. Sarah, a personal decision. I know a lot of accounting professionals have kind of implemented the 3% into their fees, so they just kind of plan on that because a lot of clients like that convenience. But it's your choice and your decision. Each of us has different situations and different clients, so that's up to you. Like I said, a lot of times when I'm emailing an invoice out, I will uncheck the box on credit cards. But if a client needs to pay it, I will do that. Online increases your cash flow instantly. That's right. No more dealing with accounts receivable and sending reminders and trying to get paid and these things like that. Somebody says, what program would you recommend for accepting credit cards or online payments? If you're using QuickBooks Online, I recommend QuickBooks Payments. So you can click in QuickBooks Online to learn more about that, QuickBooks Payments. Some of my clients don't trust paying me online. Janice, you're right. There's some clients that still just don't get it, but there's an awful lot of them that do. More and more clients are doing everything on their phones now, and they like to be able to just do that online as well. Yeah, somebody asks about the PowerPoint presentation. The link was posted. Somebody, let's see, some other stuff here. Thank you is very helpful today. Very good. Thank you very much. Somebody says value pricing is a disadvantage to the firm and advantage to the client. I disagree, Victor. Value pricing can be good both for the client and for us. The client knows what it's going to cost up front because you've discussed the price with them, as opposed to them getting a bill at the end of the month for your time and they don't know what it's going to cost or anything. With value pricing, you agree on the price prior to performing the work. And you always want it to be a win-win for both sides. It needs to be a win for you as the accounting professional and a win for your client. If it's ever out of balance, then somebody's not going to be happy and it's not going to be a long-term successful relationship. So we always want it to be a win for both sides. So that's something to keep in mind. Grady, did you want to add anything here? I see you've answered some questions, but you haven't chimed in. Anything you want to say?
No, not this time. This went great. I'm just kind of answering messages individually. So if people have follow-up questions or about right signature, share file, share connect, or they want to learn more, feel free to reach me at my email, which is grady.slane@citrix.com, GRADY Citrix.slane@citrix.com. I'd be happy to help out with that. And yeah, Michelle, thanks for having me on board.
Okay, just a second. Thank you, Grady. I'm putting your email in the chat room here to send to everybody. So thank you, Grady and Citrix, for sponsoring this webinar as well as the webinar next week. I think you guys have great products for accounting professionals, and I'm really glad to be sharing them with everybody next week as well. Somebody asked about sending an invite for the next week's webinar. Carrie, if you're registered for the QB Power Hour webinars, which you should be because you joined us today, if you're already registered, we added those into the schedule, so you will still be registered for the upcoming webinars, including the special webinars, but you need to remember to put those on your calendar so you don't forget. And Philip says, thank you, Michelle, always informative and worth the time. Well, great, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate Citrix for sponsoring it, and I hope Hector's having a great vacation. He will be joining us next week. So thank you all, and I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Again, thanks everybody, and have a great week.